questions. The police in the UK, the US, many countries, the police have this formula they call the TED formula. Tell, explain.
Tell us about asking the right questions.
Well, I think that the art of asking smart and smarter questions has really been overlooked. I think for many years, if you look at the way, first at school, then at university, if you choose university, and then the world of work, we are validated and we are rewarded and promoted, ultimately, if we give the right answers. People want answers rather than questions. And yet, the miniature scientists that we all are as children, by the time that we're 5, according to Warren Berger, an American author of a book called A More Beautiful Question, all about the question why, Berger says that by the age of 5, we've asked the question why 40,000 times. Now, we want to discover the if and then contingencies of the world. If I pull the tiger by the tail, will it bite me or will it purr? Will it enjoy me? If I hit my sister, will my parents be proud of me? No, we want to find out if I do this. And the Cambridge psychologist Simon Baron-Cohen, he runs something called the Autism Research Centre. He says that about 70,000 years ago, we developed this systemizing module that looks for these if and then contingencies. And yet we go to school having asked 40,000 why-type questions. Nobody wants any questions at all. We're labelled as being disruptive or speaking out or given Ritalin if we have ADHD. I mean, that's a real condition, but nevertheless, we're only validated and rewarded and given exams and then given jobs and promotions if we answer questions, if we give solutions. And yet, if you really focus on the power of asking smarter questions, I was originally a classicist and I'm a big fan of the Socratic paradox, this feeling that all that I know is I know nothing. We're not ignorant, but if we start from a position of ignorance and we really don't try and force fit the answer, I think we're much more likely to get the right data that we need, to get the genuine insights that we can understand and market our partners, a potential future market, whatever it might be, patients in the case of healthcare. Get the right insights, then we can tell the right data-driven stories. So I think the art of asking smarter questions is a forgotten art, and it's one that I think we should really pay more attention to.
So, asking smarter questions. How do we ask smarter questions?
Well, we start clearly by reading this excellent recent book. No, we start from this position of ignorance. We start from not trying to force fit the answer. I think there are some universal principles of asking smarter questions. I think open-mindedness. So this, I've mentioned this Socratic approach, not bringing our biases, our assumptions, our prejudices, and our prior knowledge to our line of inquiry. Open-mindedness, open questions rather than closed questions. The police in the UK, the US, many countries, the police have this formula they call the TED formula. Tell, explain, describe. If you want to get a witness who doesn't want to tell you anything because they don't want to get involved in the crime, a victim, they don't want to relive it, a perpetrator, they don't want to go to jail. If you say, what were you doing at 10:30 last night? That's but if you say, tell me what it was like when you walked into the restaurant. Could you describe, Kanveer, what you saw? Could you explain to me? Tell, explain, describe are open questions that encourage a narrative response. Open questions. Preparation for the questions that we ask. Not building a forced flow diagram that says it's going to go this way, but knowing what the questions are going to be like. This is true whether we're interrogating a database or whether we are, candidly, whether we're interviewing one another. Curiosity, the spirit of curiosity, really important. We recapture what we had when we were up to the age of 5. But I think the most fundamental principle of asking really smart and smarter questions is listening, is taking time to think that actually we've asked a question, we've prepared for it, it's an open question with an open-minded way, we're curious. But if we're just ready with the next question, like in parliaments or in a combative television interview, if we're ready with the next question before you even listened to the previous question, then we won't learn from that. And I think that ability and willingness to listen and to really think about what the other person said is really fundamental to it. There's a TED Salon talk by a woman called Julia Dar. Julia Dahn was the New Zealand schools debating champion. And she tells a story about her father, who in 2016 had a lot of people who he knew in the States who had voted for Donald Trump. Now, he was an American Democrat, and he didn't think that this was a wise thing to have done. History might relate that may or may not have been true. Anyway, rather than saying, "You're an idiot, why did you do this stupid thing?" what he said was, to lots of Trump voters, "I never really thought about it that way before. What can you tell me that would help me see things from your point of view?"
3 planes, 25 hours, 10,000 miles. My dad gets off a flight from Australia with one thing in mind, and it's not a snack or a shower or a nap. It's November 2016, and Dad is here to talk to Americans about the election. Now, Dad's a news fiend, but for him, this is not just red or blue swing states or party platforms. He has some really specific intentions. He wants to listen, be heard, and understand. And over 2 weeks, he has hundreds of conversations with Americans from New Hampshire to Miami. Some of them are tough conversations, complete differences of opinions, wildly different worldviews, radically opposite life experiences. But in all of those interactions, Dad walks away with a big smile on his face, and so does the other person. You can see one of them here. And in those interactions, he's having a version of what it seems like we have less of, but want more of: a constructive conversation.
And I think in data storytelling and insightful thinking, and particularly in asking smarter questions, I think fundamentally that if we look to get an empathetic understanding of the other person's point of view, if we try and put ourselves into the mind, the mindset, the shoes of the person that we're talking to, we're much more likely to understand them and to get some sense of accommodation. And that's exactly what Julia Dahn's father found when he took that approach with Trump supporters rather than the confrontational, combative approach. So putting ourselves into the mind, the mindset, the shoes of others, I think is fundamental and important, and that really is all about listening.
Great book, Sam, and I look forward to reading it and asking the right questions in the future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.